Greetings, friends. Christian Barker here, and thank you for joining me for the latest of my Instagram live COVID-19 lockdown sessions. Today, I have one of the finest chefs, most certainly in Southeast Asia, nay, the world, name of Kirk Westaway, joining us. Kirk, rightly, super prompt, great stuff. There he is, the man himself. Oh my goodness, you've grown a quarantine beard, I see, Kirk.
Yeah, it's essential. I heard. I believe you posted something challenging some people to grow a beard, didn't you, over the quarantine period?
I definitely provided a little bit of grooming advice and beard cultivation advice there. So yeah, I'm delighted to see you've taken that one up.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought it was after your request to talk today. I thought it was essential that I get it ready for you for our conversation.
My goodness, you grew that over the course of a week. I applaud your masculine powers of hirsute hair growth. That's amazing. But look, how are you doing otherwise, apart from being a little bit hairier than the last time I saw you?
We're okay. We're keeping high spirits. You know, I'm obviously in touch with my team as much as I can be. We're eager to get back to what we know is the restaurant and back to our bit of normality, cooking and being involved in the whole restaurant life. You know, we're fortunate in the hotel. There's been a lot of support from Singapore, but also a lot of support in the hotel. I'm in the large Swiss hotel, as you know, and it's, there's a whole lot of staff that work here. So to be able to gain the support from the management in the hotel for all of my team in the kitchen and in the restaurant, we're very fortunate indeed.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, we just had a comment from Hannah Resner there saying that she and her husband came 3 years ago on their honeymoon. It was the best meal they've ever had. That's high praise.
Thanks very much, Hannah.
I'm sure you're well used to that. But look, for those unlike Hannah who are less familiar with what you do and with Jaan by Kirk Westaway, your eponymous restaurant at the Swiss Hotel here in Singapore. Can you explain a little bit about the history of the restaurant? And you know, it's been a prestigious establishment for, I think, you know, quite a number of years now, and has been in your hands for
for pretty much 5 years ago.
Yeah,
exactly 5 years ago this month. So quite a while. Really, the time has flown. Yeah. So as you mentioned, the history goes way back. It's kind of 20 years since it opened. The restaurant originally. Once upon a time, the restaurant was opened as the name Jaan, which is Cambodian for bowl and for life. So it was opened by a friend of mine, Fabrizio, and the concept was Cambodian food. So you choose your bowl with the ingredients, the protein and the meat or the fish, along with some shoots, grains, some quinoa or rice, whatever it might be, and that would be the dish inside the bowl, which is Jaan. Now, evolution takes over, and 20 years later, we've maintained the name with a little addition of my name on the back of it. But now we're in modern British, so it's definitely a change of style into the restaurant. But it's maintained its glory status all these years. I think it's always been recognised as somewhere quite special in Singapore and in Asia, if not the world, to visit. And I'm really trying my best to maintain that style.
Yeah, well, you know, it's something that I've always loved about Jaan is the fact that, you know, a lot of restaurants that you go to that have an amazing view, they fall down on other elements of their offering. You know, they have a terrific view, as you guys have, you know, one of the most incredible views in all of Singapore, I would say. But, you know, service is outstanding. The cuisine is outstanding. The wine and you know, sommelier outstanding. You know, it ticks absolutely all of the boxes, which I think, you know, is as I say, it's uncommon.
Yeah, well, thank you for your nice words. We handpick every member of the staff. We're all people say we're very, very close. We are part of a family. My head chef Bart, we've worked together for almost 5 years. Sous chef Ungaloon's been there for 5 years. June's 4 years. So most of my team have been there for many years in the kitchen. Simone is the restaurant manager in the front, and he's been there for 4 years or so. And sommelier and some of the assistant managers have been there for even longer, 6 or 7 years. So some of the guys, they've really done their time, and it's as you know, in Singapore, generally people like to jump around and experience different varieties of restaurants or styles. We're very fortunate to have this selection of people that have really put their time and dedication into the restaurant and built it into the warm atmosphere that it is. And we do have a reputation of great service and great hospitality when people arrive, because they've been there for so long and they really are appreciative of everyone that comes through the doors, and we want to give everybody a really spectacular experience when they come.
Certainly. No, and it's I think we're going through tough times at the moment, obviously, which is going to not only separate the wheat from the chaff, but we'll probably sadly also see some amazing establishments sadly fall prey to the current crisis.
Sure.
But in better days, I vividly remember an editor at an overseas magazine asking me for a restaurant guide to Singapore, where I made, a lot of the suggestions that I made were places that have been around for 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. And the editor kind of came back to me and said, can you give us some of the new places that have only been around for, 6 months? And my reply was, well, I don't have a great deal of faith in a lot of those places that are brand new. There's really something to be said for a restaurant that can stick it out for beyond that kind of initial hot phase when it's the place to be, and build a decade or more of form.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think the only really possible method to accomplish this is to have a lot of support from the management. We're in a hotel, so they're very understanding. They're very happy to encourage the style and direction that we're currently going in, and support whenever I have an idea or a direction. I really want to implement this into the menu and the ideas of the restaurant. The second you're halted by the management or the surrounding, it's really off-putting, and people tend to jump ship. That's why I've been here for 8 years now in this restaurant, and it's we've built a strong structure in the restaurant with the team inside the restaurant, and also with the big family within the hotel. So we're very fortunate to be in the situation we are, but obviously it's a bit of hard work behind the scenes as well, as you can imagine. So they go hand in hand. We're very happy, and we enjoy what we do, and we enjoy the response we gain from the customers when they turn up.
Yeah, excellent. So it was Jaan that brought you to Singapore originally, or were you something else that lured you out here?
Yeah. So I was in South America for a year, kind of ticked off every country over there. Did some time with Alex Atala in Dom in Brazil, and in Argentina. Me and Julian Roy are very close friends from previously working in the greenhouse in London, and he called me up and invited me over, and that was 8 years ago. We worked together for, I guess, close to 4 years, and then he obviously went on to his own incredible venture, and I moved on and adjusted the French, got rid of the French style of things in a restaurant, and went into my modern British style, which is something I've always wanted to do. It's quite unheard of outside of the UK, really. Every chef in the country in the UK is fortunate to source the ingredients from a 5-10 mile radius of scallops and dairy and fish and vegetables, all from a very close location. Here is a bit more challenging, so we have to reach a bit further afield. But what we're able to achieve in the restaurant in Singapore is quite special.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of your modern British approach, can you explain what was the inspiration there for deciding to bring that theme to Jaan, and also I'm curious to know, because obviously as you say, in Britain you can just get your sort of locavore produce from the local area, which you can't necessarily do here, and I would imagine you don't necessarily always want to use purely produce that is being shipped all the way from Great Britain.
Absolutely not. Now we've managed to build some very close relationships with farmers in Singapore, so we do get fresh deliveries of some vegetables, absolutely flowers and fruits and herbs and leaves in an abundance in Singapore. Ting Ting is a very close friend of mine. She's a farmer, and she daily deliveries of all the kind of the really intricate elements of all the dishes in the menu. With some people have got the wrong conception that because I'm doing modern British, every single ingredient must come from the UK, which
Sure.
is impossible, obviously, and I wouldn't wish to achieve that, because to bring all the ingredients from the UK is a challenge and a waste of time and a waste of money and a waste of everybody's effort. And you know, the green footprint would be miles long, and it's not something I'm interested in doing. So we try and balance. I try and take some of the key seasonal ingredients from my area of England, which is Devon in the southwest, where you know an abundance of shellfish and seafood, cream and dairy, cheddar cheese, as you know, and the Devonshire butter is very, very famous worldwide. Devon cream teas, which are on most cafe menus in every part of the world, come from, you know, my town. So it's something I try and incorporate some of the ingredients to give my personal input in here in Singapore. But otherwise, we're very happy to source great ingredients from small, organic, artisanal producers, people that are looking after the vegetables. I'm looking for a farm. When a farmer wakes up in the morning and sings to his carrots and walks around, you know, he really has a great relationship with all the fruits and vegetables and the meat and the fish. Not looking for a company, mass-produced carrots grown in a factory under spotlights. So it's we've got a different idea of the type of ingredients we're trying to source here.
And you know, speaking of British food, I'm old enough to remember a time when Britain was not highly thought of from a culinary standpoint at all.
I'm not quite at that age, so you're able to remember better than me. It's always been good in my eyes.
No, well, yeah. If you go back to, I think even certainly the first time I visited Great Britain, which would have been the sort of early-ish 90s, it was not a fine dining hotspot. Though of course, at the age of 18, I couldn't afford to go anywhere. Anywhere too fancy anyway. But you know, just over the course of your career, how have you seen the perception of British food, or the demand for British styled cuisine develop or grow?
I think, like you mentioned, the reputation of British cuisine has kind of been frowned upon for the last 50 to 100 years. But in the last 10 to 20 years, it's exploded. All the chefs in the local pubs and countryside have explored. They've gone out of their country, out of their comfort zone, traveled the world, worked with fantastic chefs, picked up the skills they need and the ideas and the concepts and the quality of ingredients, brought that back to their hometown, whether it's in the countryside, in the north, in the south, in London, in the cities. And I think the level of food is incredible in the UK now. The gourmet pubs are of substantial level, really have incredible ingredients. Like I mentioned, when I was in Devon, to source all the ingredients with a 5 to 10 mile radius, all from small organic farms, it's a blessing, and you don't really appreciate it correctly until you understand when you're out of the city, you know, when you're out of your town, and you can appreciate the quality you're used to. So the food in London, it's one of the hot spots on the dining global scene. I'd say London is kind of the place to be.
Most certainly.
And outside of the UK, the quality of the produce and the quality of the chefs is fantastic. And I'm very enjoyed to go back.
No. You know, it's definitely not something you whisper under your breath. Now,
but that's the idea of the concept, to try and change people's perception of what a UK food used to be. You know, now it's a new millennium, and it's time to change and trying to change people's opinion. Generally, people are very open-minded when they come. They're interested. Sometimes expectations are a bit low, which is good, because I love to change people's minds when they come into the restaurant, which is great. And I really enjoy to educate and encourage people to enjoy a different style of food. You know, everybody in any town, in any part of the world, if you're an Italian restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, a French restaurant, not many places outside of the UK have a British restaurant to hold on to. So it's something that I really want to try and encourage the brand to begin to travel the world as much as I can, and as much as everyone else can, trying to replicate the similar style of food. Yeah.
Well, look, as much as you're trying to go against cliches, I've got to say I always enjoy your variants on the fish and chips and things of that nature, which for anyone unfamiliar with the the way you treat this stuff. It is very much reinvented and rethought. So
yes, absolutely. Thank you.
yeah, but going back to the produce side of things, you know, something that a lot of chefs here tell me is that you know, Singapore, you do just, and I guess because, you know, unlike Australia, where, you know, yes, Australia has a wealth of local produce to tap, so you probably, you know, don't really need to ship anything in or have you know, scallops FedExed from Hokkaido or, you know, whatever it may be.
Okay.
However, here you can, you know, the world is literally your oyster, no pun intended, and, you know, you can get oysters that were in Ireland yesterday, or
Absolutely.
you can have scallops that were in Hokkaido or whatever. Does that offer you a huge amount of freedom?
Yes, it really does. Obviously, you pay the price tag for the delivery of these ingredients,
Yeah.
but also you benefit from the quality. Like you mentioned, you could literally get Irish oysters from Ireland that were there a couple of days ago. On the previous menu, I was sourcing Scottish scallops, live Scottish scallops, and they're supposed to be from the dock in Scrapsa Harbour, northern Scotland, to Singapore in something like 16, 18 hours from dock to Singapore. So, you know, they're obviously alive, very, very high quality. Lobsters and langoustine, the same, live from northern Scotland straight into Singapore direct. The quality is unbeatable, and to have the opportunity to use these products so far away from home and to share them with the customers is really a real blessing. We are able to source a lot, and the more I tend to look, you know, we've got a reputation for British food and trying to source some incredible ingredients from the UK, and it seems the more I search and the more I'm offered, the consumers and the market workers, they know I'm looking for these ingredients in Singapore, so they tend to kind of assist and locate these ingredients for me.
You're giving me palate like acid flashbacks of the langoustine. Just that
you were there recently, weren't you? Just before we closed.
Well, yeah, wasn't that? No, I mean the last meal I had with you was March, when you were doing the four hands with chap from Bangkok, the chef from Bangkok.
Ian Kitty Chai.
Yeah. Sorry. So that was the last thing. But yeah, looking at my Instagram, the last time I was in the restaurant was kind of November last year, and was the langoustine has stayed with me, and just the mere mention of it brings a Pavlovian response of mouth-watering. But
it's very popular, langoustine. Very popular. I'd like to remove it from the menu, but unfortunately, it's had too many requests. So I need to adjust it and redesign it. I think now's the time.
It's a victim of its own popularity. I'm curious to discuss with you, though. You know, we've been talking as if coronavirus and quarantine or lockdown or circuit breaker or whatever you want to call it hasn't happened. Obviously, you know, I'd love to know what you've been doing the last kind of 2 months that we've been locked up at home, because as far as I know, you know, you're not really. Some restaurants have tried to do the kind of home delivery thing, even up to, you know, a super high standard like Odette. I believe you can order at home. I'm not in the right income bracket to do that, unfortunately. Yeah. But what have you been doing while we've been stuck at home? And, you know, do you foresee? I know there's going to be less flights. I know mail is taking a lot longer now. You know, just shipping stuff from overseas and is taking longer. So I imagine this is going to impact getting those oysters from Scotland and whatever. What have you been working on the last couple of months, and what perception are you getting of how things might change, or what challenges you might face in future?
Well, as you can see, I'm in my chef's jacket today because I'm in the hotel. We've got a couple of kind of projects we're working on. Obviously, it's important to keep active, keep contact with the staff. As I mentioned at the beginning, the Swiss hotel is closed, so we are unable to access. The direction that most restaurants in the world have taken, and in Singapore with the takeaway, they have maintained their entire team in the kitchen, entire team in the restaurant. So to do a takeaway, it makes sense to balance out, to keep everybody employed and to keep the ship moving active as possible. with us, we've deployed all of our staff from the kitchen and some from the restaurant into NTUC outlets. So they're kind of, some of the chefs working with fishmongers, some of the work with butchers, other people involved in different areas of catering within NTUC. The selection that are left over, some are working in Prego, which is still an active takeaway, the Italian restaurant in a Swiss hotel. So, you know, we haven't, there's not been an issue of a potential layoff or a firing or people not being able to work it. Everybody's maintained their jobs and their salary. It's consistent.
Great.
That when we can reopen the doors of Jaan, the entire team, as it were, can return, which is fantastic.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
bravo.
Very good for
bravo.
us,
Should be proud.
very good for everybody involved. So it's a really great option. The only issue of this is we're unable to create a takeaway from Jaan or enable to, you know, create some kind of delivery service or an option to kind of keep people interested in to continue what we're doing. But in terms of the staff, we're very, very lucky to have the support from the hotel and from the government to maintain everybody and to look after them as best we could. So
that's great.
For myself, I've been working on projects. Obviously, we are discussing options of the opening of Jaan, if that's postponed, additional kind of a casual concept, which we'll be looking into, which is still kind of a bit behind the scenes. So we'll let you know closer to the date. And also we've got a few events happening here and there with some additional requests, you know, small events behind the scenes as well. So there's lots of action. Most of my team that are not in NTUC are here. So I've seen some of these guys in the hotel today. And yeah, every day there's new things happening. You know, Jaan is a very small outlet, but the hotel is a very big place. So there's always a lot of people trying to create events, trying to create exposure, organizations and options of things we can do. So it's good. I've been busy and continue to be busy, looking forward to making the events happen in the next couple of weeks and what else we can create.
Excellent. Someone's saying that the beard game is strong. So that's laudable, as well as no. I think it's really to be applauded that you've kept all of your team on, and I think that's not only is it the right thing to do, but from the perspective of a leader, you know, you want those people there so you can hit the ground running, and you know, the whole team's there. You're not training up new staff, etc. It makes a lot of sense. But have you personally been sort of using this time for sort of R&D, I guess, for a little bit, you know, as a laboratory time?
Yeah, it's more of a mental R&D. We can't access the kitchen, and the kind of hotel's been out of bounds. I've done a bit of R&D at home, but a lot of paperwork and ideas and concepts in my own menu. I've got obviously an external hard drive full of my life, and that's all the recipes and ideas and dishes have gone down onto there. So you'll have to come and take a look. You know, I'm not going to tell you anything today, but you can come and take a look. The whole direction is to continue on with modern British, really focus on some of the best ingredients we can source here and some special flavors. We've got a good reputation for what we've done in the past, and I only want that reputation to grow and develop into more and more special experiences in the restaurant.
Now, obviously, you know, you completely or virtually almost completely refresh your menu each season. So, you know, 4 times a year. Why did you decide to give yourself that challenge when I guess, you know, a lot of restaurants kind of stick with, you know, find what's working and stick with it. Whereas, you know, you every 3 months decide to throw it out the window and kind of start again.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. But it's encouraging. The thing is, it's not just about the staff being happy. It's about the customers and the staff and myself being happy. I'm sure you'll ask any chef around the world. The problem is you create the best dish you've ever created, and you get bored of it in a week. We lose interest and the dish becomes very boring, even though it's the most popular. Like that langoustine dish you mentioned, this has been loved by everybody. It's very, very popular, very rich, wholesome, and delicious. But I'm bored of it. I don't like it anymore. I know it tastes nice, but it's not something I particularly want to keep on the menu, because we constantly wish to evolve and adjust and grow and develop. And to adjust the menu is something very important to myself, to keep myself sane, along with my staff in the kitchen, the staff in the restaurant, and then every customer that walks through the door. Obviously, we have many regulars, and they want to taste and experience new ideas and new concepts every time they come in. So it's not just for my own mentality; it's for everybody else's as well.
Yeah, it's. I get, you know. I don't think we can not ask about the whole Michelin thing. So, you know, how did it feel when you had the star bestowed upon you, and you know, what kind of pressure is it to retain that and maintain that?
Yeah, that was. So I think my battery's about to run out. It was very nice. Michelin is kind of one of those things that people look for their entire lives.
Yeah.
And to achieve the star is it really is a dream come true, kind of unexpected for many years, but to achieve that is a great feat for myself and for the team. Obviously, it's one of my proudest moments to achieve that, but for the team, for the kitchen team, for the restaurant team, for them to be involved as well. It's a life goal for everybody involved. Everybody puts their own real hard, dedicated work into every single step of the meal and the experience and the whole dining operation. So to achieve it is not just for me, but it's for everybody in the team, everybody in the hotel. The amount of people involved in this operation is insane. As you know, half of the staff in the hotel, the senior management is incredible. So to achieve that is something very, very special for me and very special for the whole team. And something you remember for the rest of your life. It's a real milestone of achievement for your career and for your life.
You bet. And the pressure to maintain it, how does that?
I'll move and plug us in. It's a bit low.
Sure.
No, there's no pressure. No pressure. It's a piece of cake.
Okay.
We don't feel
on completely the. I think, by the way, it shows great dedication that you've gone to the effort of getting in situ in the venue itself to speak with me today. Thank you, Kirk. You're just dropping out for a second here. I think we've lost the Wi-Fi, maybe. Are you there? Have we got you, Kirk? Yeah, I can hear you. There shouldn't be too much pressure on the Wi-Fi in the hotel with no guests in there, but for those who are unfamiliar with Jaan, it is on the top of the world. So Kirk is probably operating off a phone connection from Indonesia or Malaysia at this time. You never know what you're going to get up on the top of the Swiss hotel. You can hear me, right?
Bottom, actually, today. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. On completely the other side of the token to the whole Michelin fine dining situation. What is your comfort food that you turn to when you're at home? You know, what do you whip up for yourself and your family on a frosty Singapore Sunday night when you just want something that's easy and maybe even greasy?
Well, as I mentioned, we're looking in. I have been for a long time as well. Obviously, the fine dining is taking center stage, but a concept I've always been interested in is to reinvent the casual dining scene. English food is kind of casual, it's comforting. You know, great pies. The best meal in the world is an English roast dinner with the roast beef and the vegetables and gravy and horseradish and Yorkshire pudding. Obviously, I think this is one of the great meals. And to reinvent my own style of kind of modern British casual food is a concept I'm really looking at into Singapore, and I think it could be quite popular. So that's something that's on the cards we're very interested in, and let's get this silly situation at the moment out of the way so we can roll on with that. But for myself, I grew up vegetarian. I'm not sure if you know that, but I
No,
grew up vegetarian
no.
for the early part of my life. My mum is the cook, and so she's vegetarian, and you get what you're given. So me and my dad and my sisters, we all had her food, and she's vegetarian. So for a few years of my life, I was vegetarian until you become a rebellious teenager, and then you roll out and you start to eat the crap on the streets and what's available. And I feel myself slowly returning to that stage. I generally at home, I don't eat meat at home. We just get some really fantastic organic vegetables and fruits and some fish and seafood are items I really enjoy. And at home, it's really kind of a bit more of a vegetarian diet, which is something I like and I've always enjoyed. And now I feel myself moving even more into that direction. As you know, in the restaurant, there's always a couple of courses, vegetable focus in Jaan, and those have been some of the memorable dishes for all the customers involved. So I think it's a great direction. I'm really trying to remove a lot of the animal protein into the restaurant and incorporate a lot more vegetable-based menus. And the flavor and the quality of ingredients you can really incorporate from some vegetables is outstanding in a really interesting direction. A lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to, but I think it's the trend coming up in the future.
It's interesting. Yeah, no, I've tasted a lot of really impressive plant-based cuisine lately, which as I'm sort of I would love to go vegetarian myself, but I'm still sort of a little bit psychologically attached to the carnivorous lifestyle. But more and more the last maybe 2 or 3 years, there's been some really outstanding fully vegetarian or very plant-focused meals, which have really impressed me. That is a trend, and that's been going for quite some time, not merely for anti-animal cruelty reasons, but also from a perspective of environmental friendliness, sustainability. Do you think that's going to become stronger out of the current situation that the world is facing, or do you think what else do you think that the current crisis is going to precipitate trend-wise, or in terms of cuisine, where fine dining is going? Oh, we lost Kirk. Let's see about getting him back again. Sorry about that. We seem to have a bit of a Kirk.
Sorry, it's a bit off and on.
No worries.
I caught most of what you said, but I think the world is quite interested in the vegetarian direction. I don't believe people need to go full hog. I do enjoy the flavor of the meat and a lot of ingredients, and I do really enjoy myself. Likewise, I feel a little bit brainwashed for the need to eat meat. If you're very hungry, you need to have a big meal, a lot of meat rather than vegetables. But it's something I enjoy at home, and I think it's the quality you have. I recently received a package from Classic Fine Foods, of a large supplier here in Singapore, and they gave me just a box of vegetables, some peas, courgettes, onions, and some asparagus, and just cooked a simple plate of vegetables. But it's one of the best meals I've had for weeks and months, because the quality of the ingredients was fantastic. Without the meat, without the fish, it was just pure vegetables. And when you really find the quality in the ingredients, I think it's a very, very special dish.
Well, I don't know if you saw our Prime Minister's speech, which I think was on Friday, where he specifically mentioned we're getting eggs from where was it? It was somewhere miles afield, and prawns from Saudi Arabia stuck with me. So it does seem like we're going to be facing some changes to that supply chain, and where the produce that you guys have to work with is coming from, and me occasionally when I'm cooking.
Absolutely. It is a challenge. Obviously, I'm connecting with my suppliers every few days and just testing the water, seeing what's available. I think the changes are going to be quite drastic. There will still be many items available, but it's going to adjust. We are unable to receive and achieve what we used to source into the restaurant and into Singapore. There will be limitations. But you know, it's part of the challenge. We're unable to get everything we really want and desire anyway. It's part of the challenge to see what we can work with. We're all hoping we can return to normal, but it's going to be impossible. So to source new style of products and ingredients and meat and fish into Singapore, even from surrounding local areas, more items from Cameron Highlands, which is full of organic farms. You know, the quality is incredible, and it's definitely an eye opener to change away from your comfortable sequence that we're all used to try and look for alternative sources of ingredients within our reach across the doorstep, and trying to find what we could possibly use for now and for the future.
I think sometimes, you know, when you face a challenge, and often that means fewer resources, that's when you come up with the most creative, the most interesting solution.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. It's when the crisis brings out the best in us in some ways.
Yeah. Now, someone was just asking a question a couple of moments ago about recommendations for vegetables in a diet for you know, someone who is cutting meat from their diet. What do you suggest in that regard?
You know, the other day I baked a cabbage. If you roast it and bake it in the oven with some vegetable stock and onions and cabbage, the flavor you achieve from just a roasted cabbage is incredible. And a few of my friends are doing dishes, just pure cabbages. I think Simon Rogan delivered me the inspiration of a dish that he created when he came to. It's just a roasted cabbage. The work that is incorporated into this dish behind the scenes is quite dramatic, but at the end of the day, it's just a cabbage. It's dill brined with a homemade teriyaki sauce and some pickled mushrooms and kind of a brown butter sauce as well. Lots of ingredients behind, but the flavor and the deliciousness of this dish was incredible. And I think the vegetable dishes are generally items that sincerely stick out in a meal experience. When you go out to dine in restaurants, when you get a very good vegetable dish, it's an item that you really cherish and remember, because it's not so frequent. We're all used to having, you know, a chunk of steak or a pigeon or a bit of pork, and it's all delicious. But when you get a really special vegetable dish, it's an item you remember as the label to that restaurant and the experience you had in that location at that time. And yeah, there's many options just to roast up a vegetable rather than a piece of meat. People are going to bed here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what happened? We've lost you.
Yeah, and they will turn lights on. It's exciting here, isn't it? This is the situation you see we're facing. They didn't pay the Wi-Fi bill, didn't pay the electric bill.
No, well, you know, that's what happens when the apocalypse is upon us. End of days. We've got to deal with some stuff. The outside of the kitchen and outside of what you're actually cooking, you know, obviously Jaan already exercises very good social distancing. It's one of the lovely things in your restaurant is that, you know, you're not seated cheek to jowl with your neighbors. It's very spacious, yeah, but so you probably, you know, won't need to fiddle that you know, number of covers or you know, spacing.
It's definitely much. A concern, because the first of all, the social distancing is a concern for all of us. Not so much the customers, but the service staff. So a sommelier comes over to talk about the wine and serve the wine. Where will his position be? Are they still able to achieve that? Or do we need to give the customer the bottle to pour their own wine? Cutlery change, you know, dish service. There's many considerations how we're going to adjust. Also, within the kitchen, you know, we've got 12 to 15 guys in a very small space. Are we going to able to maintain that, or will it have to be a team A, team B, adjusting the proportions of people spread across the restaurant? The tables are pretty far apart already, but there's many elements that need to be questioned and considered moving forward. One of the points that I heard recently was each restaurant will be restricted 50% of their license allowance in a restaurant. So if you currently allow 50 people, that will be reduced down to 25 people, which is it's drastic. To open your restaurant once again with 50% reduction in customers, we're all excited to come back, but without the additional seating, the revenue is extremely low to maintain the staff and maintain the quality of the ingredients and the experience is a challenge for everybody involved.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a big challenge, and as I said earlier, I think in a way, we'll separate the wheat from the chaff and the good and the bad from the ugly. But also, yeah, we're going to see a lot of great establishments, which I think a lot of people don't realize that restaurants run on a razor's edge, with maybe a month or 2 months of runway, and that's been the really tough thing for the.
Absolutely. What about that question there from Clive Mule? Ledbury, what an institution. I've been there myself many times, and I've got half of my culinary friends have been through the restaurant or the kitchen, so I've got a lot of friends that have been involved in the operation. Obviously, I know Brett and a few of the guys that have come out of there, and to hear last night that that's going to close is a shocking situation. A restaurant you really believe to be extremely solid and one of the top locations in the country of UK to close its doors is very tough for everybody, and it shocked a lot of me and my friends and shocked the culinary world around the world. Yeah. So it's tough. I'm very, very surprised and very sad to hear it.
Well, we're facing tough times all around, but we've all got to try to be optimistic, I guess, and find our way through. But look, I'll just say, if anyone has any further questions, please shoot those through on the screen. But the last question I would have, that I have for you, is: are all of those concerns? How have you adjusted to becoming, rather than just someone who's fully focused on making the best food that you possibly can, to being more conscious of all of those other elements that are involved in running a restaurant, whether that's the stuff that you were just talking about, and how all of that's going to be adjusted in the post COVID-19 world. Has that been just a gradual learning curve, or something?
Yeah, I think it's ongoing, and it will be ongoing for the rest of the time until we're finally out of the weeds in this situation. Obviously, I have a close discussion with my team, the restaurant manager, the chefs in the restaurant, in the kitchen, and all the management within the hotel, because it's nobody is fully aware of the rules and regulations we're about to approach. So we need to take it one step at a time. We'll be very considerate of all the actions we'll take into the restaurant, and try and follow the rules as best we can. I was talking to a few friends last night from Mumbai, from Sweden, from Australia, and everybody has a very different approach to their situation within COVID. In Sweden, they didn't lock down, they don't wear masks, they've been fully booked in a restaurant all day and every night, which is very surprising. It's a different world over there. My friend in Melbourne, old Nelly, he just opened a couple of days ago, and he's in Sydney. He just opened a couple of days ago, and the restaurant's fully booked and packed, so they're back to it. As you know, New Zealand has reopened and removed social distancing. They're fully clean and organised, which is fantastic. So, we're all going to have to take a different direction and different steps as we try and move into that direction of cleanse operations as well.
Yeah, it's a whole new world of OH&S and different rules in every country, which is, I'm seeing friends in sort of Bangkok and whatever saying, oh, we're going to be able to travel really soon. I'm like, well, is that where, and is that really wise? And I don't know.
I think it's going to be a bit of a time in Singapore until we can enjoy a weekend away or some traveling around. Yes, let's be patient. Well, look, it's been a great pleasure speaking with you, Kirk. Thank you so much for sparing and being so generous with your time today. I've got to say, this lighting with the beard as well, you look like a Rembrandt. You look like an artwork. Off all the lights in the room I'm in. Thanks for that, guys.
Well, look, I think it's quite flattering. You do look like a Rembrandt painting. It's
like a Queen video, isn't it?
Yeah, that too. There just needs to be a few more around you. Scaramouche. Can you do the fandango? But look, I can't wait to get back in there and try the next season's selection, and also, you know, the casual model sounds amazing as well. So
yeah, it's exciting times for all of us. We're, like I said, we're keeping high spirits. We're positive to return soon, and the casual will be great, and then the Jaan fine dining will be fantastic as well. So looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much for today. Great to speak to you, and
it's my pleasure. Yeah, and thank you to everyone who popped in and watched us today. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, look, can't wait to see you keep fighting the good fight. Forward with fortitude, my friend.
Absolutely. All the best, Christian.
All right.
Lovely to see you, mate.
Cheers, Kirk.
Thanks,
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye
Bye.
now. Bye. Thanks, everyone. See you later.